Okay, in the other video, I went into detail about factoring linear expressions. We did it visually and a couple other methods. In this video, we're just going to do a couple examples, shortened to the point. The direction is the same. Factor completely. I want to break this up into a product of factors. So one method to do it is take my expression, 3x plus 12. I'm going to use a box here and divide my box. I have two terms here, so I'm going to divide it up into two areas, 3x for one and plus 12 for another. So I'm looking, what is the greatest common factor of 3x and 12? Because what's the biggest number I can divide into 3 and a 12? And the answer there is 3. So 3 times what gives me 3x? 3 times what gives me 3x? Well, 3 times x is 3x. And I have a positive 12 here, so I'm going to put a plus up here. 3 times what is equal to 12? Well, 3 times 4 is equal to 12. So the factored form of 3x plus 12 is 3 times the quantity x plus 4. That is, if we distribute, 3 times x is 3x plus 3 times 4 is 12. Another way to do the same problem is just, again, think what's the greatest common factor? Well, the greatest common factor is 3 between 3x and 12. So I'm going to divide both of these by 3. My greatest common factor is going to come outside my parenthesis. 3x divided by 3 is x, plus 12 divided by 3 is 4. And again, I get the same result, 3 times the quantity x plus 4. Next example, 6x minus 15. In this case, I'm going to use my box again. In this case, I'm going to put my 6x, my first term, here. I'm going to put negative 15 here, because this is the same as plus negative 15. What's the biggest number, again, what's the greatest common factor between 6x and 15? What is the largest number I can divide into 6 and into 15 that's the same? And the answer again is going to be 3. So 3 times what gives me 6x? Well, the answer there is 2x. And looks like I'm going to have a negative here because I've got that negative 15. So 3 times what is 15? Well, 3 times negative 5 is 15. So the factored form here, so write that again. So the factored form, that's factored with a D. Boy, my spelling's atrocious. Factored form here is going to be 3 times the quantity, 2x minus 5. Notice it's just the length and the width of the rectangle. And when you multiply the length and the width of the rectangle, you get the area inside. Again, I could ask the question, though. What's the greatest common factor between 6x and 15? Well, my greatest common factor is going to be 3. So I can divide each of these by 3. The 3 is going to come outside the parenthesis. 6x divided by 3, well, 6 divided by 3 is 2, and then the x comes along, minus 15 divided by 3 is 5. And again, if I distribute it, 3 times 2x will equal 6x, minus 3 times 5 is 15. So it works. One more example. This one's a little different. Now I want to factor negative 5x plus 35. Well, because this has a negative in front of the linear term, I'm going to pay attention to that detail. But it is going to work out here where I'm going to have negative 5x, there's my first term, plus 35. Oftentimes, what you'll see, if you have a negative in front of your first term, I want to make sure I pull that negative out. But what's the biggest number? We'll worry about the sign in a moment. But what's the biggest number I can divide into 5 and 35? What's the biggest number I can divide 5 and 35 by? The answer is 5. And I'm going to bring the negative with it this time. So my greatest common factor I'm going to use is going to be negative 5. So this side is going to be negative 5. But I'm asked the same question. Negative 5 times what gives me negative 5x? Well, negative 5 times x. Right? Now here's where you got to pay close attention. Because now that I'm multiplying by negative 5, negative 5 times what gives me a positive 35? Well, I know a negative times a negative is positive. And 5 times 7 is 35. So this is going to be negative 5 times a negative 7 is positive 35. So my factored form, so let me write it neatly this time, my factored form is going to be negative 5 times a quantity, x minus 7. And if I distributed this, negative 5 times x is negative 5x. Negative 5 times a negative 7 is plus 35. But it works the same thing. What can I divide both of these by? Well, I can certainly divide them by 5. But because the x term is negative, I want to pull this negative out too. So I'm going to divide both by negative 5. And negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1, 1x. So what I divide by is my greatest common factor. And negative 5 times what is going to be positive 35? Well, 35 divided by negative 5 is going to be negative 7. So 35 divided by negative 5 is going to be negative 7. And there you go. Negative 5 times x, negative 5x. Negative 5 times negative 7, positive 35. There you go, short and sweet. Hope they help. Bye-bye.